Howdy, I'm Repton, and this is Repton Does. Today we're tackling a quality of life upgrade with the Hoverpack, which means rushing some aluminum work. Then we'll head over and scout out the steel factory location. Turns out the steel factory is really multiple factories, but we'll start with just getting steel working first. The screw factory gets another look, but not how you might think. Stay tuned to find out. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that subscribe and like. We could really use it. Let's get to it. As I was wandering around the factory, it's time to tackle that steel factory. Copper and iron are working great now, though copper sheets still need some work. We came to see this. No steel pipes. We're running it dry. Our steel factory can't quite keep up. So it's definitely time to take that on. But first, with these recent upgrades getting us into phase 3, we can get the Hoverpack. And I think that'll make things building much easier. So we're going to kind of rush that. With the idea being not really going to build out the aluminum factories we're going to need in the future, but let's go get some bauxite, let's refine it, let's get the aluminum we need, and let's get that next upgrade going. This is the Cannon of Death. It launched me to my death 3 times. It needs some work, but it's taking me out to that bauxite site. So for this trip, I have take advantage of some of my tips. I'll include the link in the description below for those 25 essential tips, and it's about exploring from the high ground. So here I built this little road. It could be used for future with trucks and or the start of a train route once we get that aluminum factory set up, but for me it was just a way to get out here with some personal miners and ultimately get that bauxite going. The game truly has some stunning views. So on our trip out to the bauxite site, just look at this. It's gorgeous. Can you imagine doing this every day on your way to work? Heading to get that aluminum. So we'll climb this route up past the waterfalls. We'll see you at the bauxite site. One more great view. There's our factory in the distance. Look at that backdrop. Man, this planet is beautiful. What a great place to work. Let's keep it going, keep it efficient. Some of you might be wondering why bother to do this. Well, it turns out the bauxite was like 1,500 meters away. Quite a trip. Traversing that terrain and climbing that mountain would have been a serious challenge. This gave me an easy way to get out here, especially since we're not really ready to build a factory. We're not really ready to do aluminum. We just want to get to that Hoverpack, make things a little bit easier for us. Almost there. And we made it. So here we are. It's an impure node, but that's fine. Again, we're just trying to get enough bauxite to get us that Hoverpack. So my approach, bring a bunch of portable miners, plop them down, let them collect, and then we'll take it back out to our plastic and rubber factory where we can set up a temporary refinery. As I said in one of my earlier videos, I did actually watch portable miners mine. I'm not going to make you guys do that. We'll just plop some down here, get things rolling, and then we'll catch up with you in a little bit. So here we go. We're going to get 30 down here, which should give us more than enough as they start their little dance. Look at that. Look at those miners go. Alright, so we let those miners run. We grabbed us a bunch of bauxite. We picked up our miners. And now we're ready to head back. So we'll again take that road we built, which will save us some any run-ins with any interesting critters, as well as make the travel a lot easier, not having to deal with that giant mountain. Although it would be pretty fun to jump off of that, I think. Maybe we'll give it a shot as we get back. See y'all there. I wonder how far we could make it. I don't think we could make it all the way to our factory. Let's see if we can get a good jump here. Here we go. Those hands from flailing, indicating that we're falling. We might finish the ramp. Not quite. We still took a little damage. Interesting jump though. Anyway, we got a little bit of a ride out to the rubber and plastic factory. So we'll catch the train for that. I'll see you guys there. Man, that copper factory looks great. Cranking away. Can't wait till we get those copper sheets working better. Here comes the train, so we better head on over to the train station and catch a ride. Oh, looks like we're going to have to wait for the other train, so we'll pick it up right here. Right, we're rolling into our plastic and rubber factory here. Now, I've already set up a refinery and some fluid storage to make this work, and been working on it, so we're pretty close to being done, but I'll walk quickly through the process to make it happen. Alright, so we'll hop off the train. And we had water running up here from a previous setup anyway, so now all we would have to do, nap that water in, and we could make the alumina solution. Once we finish making that, we can then use the alumina solution and some coal to make our aluminum scrap. Then we will bring our aluminum scrap back to our base, where we'll set it up with a foundry, and then we can make that those final items to get that hovercraft, or the Hoverpack, all set up for us. Now, I've already finished those things, so I won't walk you through all the steps, but pretty straightforward. Like I said, you need some water for the first step. Run your alumina into a container like this. In this case, stored it all up, and then run it back in. Now, technically you need another one to hold the water that this is producing, or if you just keep selecting the recipe, you'll destroy the water. My plan was to come here and finish that up, so we will do that while we're here. So we're going to add another fluid buffer. So that this will just continue to run. Now we can see this finishing. Yep, so we'll continue to just crank away that aluminum scrap for as much as we happen to need. Like I said, we did get some, so we'll save this out here for later. Let's go ahead and grab some to take back with us. And we'll head back up and take the train back. Alright, we've made it back. Here's a simple setup with a foundry and our assembler to make the alclad aluminum sheets that we're going to need. Like I said, I've finished this already, but we'll go ahead and get the Mark V upgrade done. So as you can see, we need aluminum scrap. We need silica, which we actually, as a byproduct of producing that the liquid alumina stuff. So you really get everything you need. So rushing this bauxite piece to get the Hoverpack, huge quality of life upgrade, huge quality of life, without having to worry about actually building out your aluminum factory, which that's going to take some work. We've got some planning to do. We've got some things to see what we're going to need next, and I still got to get that steel factory up to snuff, right? It's not doing the job. We can't meet our efficiency demands and needs, and we certainly have kind of a bad situation with our copper sheets. It's just kind of thrown on because it happens to be over with that current factory for steel, which is also making quick wire and AI limiters. So we got some work to do there first, so definitely just getting some of these upgrades to help us with that, I think, will be huge. We'll let this finish up, and then we'll go get that upgrade, and then we'll start scoping out what we're going to do with the steel plant. Got some ideas, been scouting some areas. We'll see what you guys think. Alright, so we made the last bit of all-clad aluminum sheets we need. We'll let some of that finish up since we have some left, in case we need it for anything else. Let's run over here to the hub and last bit of reinforced iron plate. And if this were for the Hoverpack, this is where we'd be at. We're actually going to get the Logistics Mark V because, like I mentioned, I had already done the Hoverpack. But good way to rush this. Good quality of life. Brings us to the Mark V belts. which will speed things up quite a bit for our main base bus and for all the products we're bringing off the train, and for our other bases we're going to have to, or other factories we're going to have to build up soon. In particular, the steel factory, I think it's going to need, would benefit from some of those faster belts. And certainly as we start looking at aluminum, quartz, some of the other things, definitely going to need them. So huge upgrade here as well. Let's get that launched.
Milestone reached. Fix-It dedicated
And there we
this
go.
milestone to the conveyor belt and lift Mark 5. They may be implying that your factory could be further optimized. While they are correct, I believe they are setting unreasonable expectations. Having all of humanity very definitely relying on your work is a lot of pressure. It's a good thing I'm here.
Well, thank you, Ada. Appreciate all the things you're doing to help make this better for us. So that'll be a great upgrade. Of course, we'll want to get our next milestone working. I did run into some radiation out there, so I'm thinking we might be looking at this, plus those inventory slots would be hugely helpful. Though it looks like we've got some big work coming with control systems. Let's go ahead and get this one knocked out. It will require that we start building some new things, so we'll have to see about that. So we'll take a look. Again, the next focus will definitely be the steel factory. We're going to hop over and take a look at some of the areas that we've scoped out as potentials, and then get a plan. So let's take a ride on a hypertube cannon. Here we go. So you may remember this is really many factories. There's our steel factory. We've got a copper factory down there. We've got some iron coming in over here. A Caterium factory right around here. Ouch. That almost wiped us out. Oh, let's get the Hoverpack on. Alright. And then this sort of makeshift AI limiter, quick wire, bringing in quick wire, making AI limiters with the copper sheets as well. All of this needs to be cleaned up. So as you can see, we've kind of scoped out some potential sites for where these factories could be. This might be a reasonable spot. Nice overlook. It's close to what we've got going on with Caterium and copper. Certainly could figure out something here for our AI limiter factory, and could move steel back to here. Though there is an interesting option with all of this, because we built that screw factory when we were after a problem with just screws. Since we've rectified everything with our new iron factory, we don't really need that screw factory anymore. We have shut it down. It's not producing anything at the moment, but I did fire it back up just to get some extra resources and let things run dry. So let's take a flight over there and see what our opportunities might be. You know, we already have the train station here. Certainly already have a platform built out. We've got iron in the area, obviously. So we would just have to bring our coal over. We wouldn't have to run that iron from such a long distance that we're running everywhere else. Like I said, I did fire this up, turn off the miners just to run the machines dry. So we've got iron right here. We've got a nice platform, good spot. Trains already set up. So this might be our premier spot. Have to see if we can get the layout to fit. And then it also works out, we've got some copper over here as well. So we could consider bringing even more over in this direction. So let's go take a look at these copper nodes as well. We could bring that copper factory over. So we've got a normal node here. Got a lot in this area. So I'm thinking we may shift all of those factories more in this direction. Got another copper node right here. I think this one's an impure though. Yeah, impure. But it could help. Could help offset a little bit. So this might be a good spot to actually shift a lot of that work. We'll have to see once we see what all we actually need. I think it's around 100 pipes a minute, 105 steel beams a minute. So we'll get that all calculated up in Satisfactory, and then we'll start to look at our options. Again, we've got kind of three potential options. Liking this one a lot, given that we've got the train station here as well. We'll have to see what we're going to do with that if we move it completely out, since we do have a train station there. Definitely that factory's got to go. It's not sufficient to maintain our steel demands. This one could be needed down the road, but certainly is not needed right now, so it's a good opportunity. Alright, so let's jump over to Satisfactory Tools and start planning out what our steel factory needs to be, what our copper sheet factory needs to be, what our quick wire and AI limiter factories need to be, and then see where it's best going to fit. Alright, so here we are in Satisfactory Tools. We've calculated out what we need steel beam wise and steel pipe wise. 105 a minute for steel beams, 120 a minute for steel pipes. I suspect that's probably going to grow, but we'll start the factory with that. That gives us a plan of 600 coal a minute, 600 iron ore a minute. We do have that around us, so that should not be a problem. And now with the faster belts, we should actually be able to sustain that. With the iron ore, we could have split it because we have two sources. The coal would have been tough because it's one. We'll need 13 1/3 foundries. Obviously, we'll round that up and then underclock a couple. 7 constructors for the beams, 6 for the steel pipes. Again, we'll round up to our stackable blueprint size. And then, yeah, we should be able to go from there. So we'll hop back over to the game and get cracking on this factory. Alright, so I just realized that as I laid down our 9x9 grid, cleaned out the area of trees and shrubs, and put down our back of our factory and talked about changing this around so it'll run the different directions so the front is facing the rest of our world, train station, things like that, you guys were looking at the Satisfactory tool screen. So that'll have to go in the blooper reel. So again, we laid out a 9x9 grid. We're putting up just the shell of the back of our factory because we want to be too high. We're going to leave a ground basement, so to speak. So I'm going to put on a side, and then we're going to take that up towards the front, and then we'll get cracking on actually building the factory. So let's grab a side. Let's see, right about there. And then we're going to need a middle. Looks like we're lined up there. And then I think our front. Over one. Yeah, I think that's about right. So we're gonna finish filling in our floor here, and then we'll get started on the factory. All right, so we've got the factory mostly constructed. A lot of the shell up. You can see we've got our constructors in, foundries in, our logistics holes to bring material in, and we've adjusted some of the back wall to start bringing in resources, right? So we've got 2 of our iron nodes right here, and then our coal node is over there. So we're going to have to build a way to get that coal over here. So we'll build a little ramp, and then we'll run some belts, and let's get cracking on that. All right, we've got things flowing now. We've got our steel pipes, uh, steel plates. We'll take a quick dip underneath. It gets a little spaghetti under here, but we've got ingots moving across, going up into our constructors, and then coming back down with our pipes and plates. Of course, we've got our resources coming in, our coal and iron, which makes the factory floor just much nicer to deal with. So as we come up inside here, nice and clean, busy just chewing away. We've got some cleanup work to do, finish closing in the walls. Again, we had to go wider than our usual factory front, factory back, which is not uncommon, right? You want to build your blueprints so that you can expand as needed. But yeah, this is looking pretty good. Should be cranking 105 beams a minute, 120 pipes, which should suit us just nicely. So, finally got the steel factory up and running. We'll let things run dry out of the old steel factory, and then we'll tear that down. And that's going to wrap things up for this episode. We've got a copper sheet factory, which we're going to be looking at to move right over there. We've got to fix our Caterium, quick wire AI limiter factory over here where we have some additional sites, so we'll be focused on that soon. And then of course quartz, I keep talking about it. We are going to get to that quartz factory. Then we'll start looking at the next round of upgrades. We got to get to aluminum, so still a lot of work to do. I think we're going to have a power problem soon enough as we look at our power situation. Right, we're only pumping out inconsistently between 4,000 and 4,600. You can see our max consumption would be 5,100, so we would blow a fuse. We don't consume that right now, just with machines that are running and some underclocking of some other machines. We'll have to do some cleaning up of this back here. I hate these floating things, and I've got a bunch of them. I've got trains. I've got a lot that's just floating in the air. We're definitely going to want to get that straightened out. But that'll wrap things up for this episode. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.